Hi there, good morning, and welcome to another edition of the morning show. This is the newspaper review here on Pan-African Television. A reminder that this show is live across 46 South African countries via satellite in some parts of Europe and South America. Join us on Facebook at Television. Also, text line has been displayed on your screens. Make sure you leave a message. I'll read it in the course of the show. Here are our topics for today. Democrats sweep 4 major races, including California. Majority-minority exchange blows in parliament over galamsey. Elwak Stadium in ruins. Military declines comments, and NPP slams judiciary over unreasonable bail terms. These are our topics for today's show. Once again, I'll implore you to be a part of it. Let me know what your thoughts are. Your thoughts do matter to this show greatly, and so leave a message behind. I'll read your messages in the course of the show. This morning, I've been joined by Philip Langdon Safohin of the United Party. Good morning, sir. I hope you're fine. Right. And also Comrade Kwesi Pratt, who is the General Secretary of the Socialist Movement of Ghana and the Managing Editor of the Inside newspaper. Comrade, good morning. Yes. Right. We'll head into our very first topic. This is a story that has been captured on page 9 of today's edition of the Daily Graphic newspaper. Democrats sweep 4 major races, including California. It says Democrats swept the 4 major races in Tuesday's off-year elections as voters from New York City to California delivered a check on President Trump's second term, along with some early clues about how the opposition party might mount a comeback in next year's make or break midterms. In New York, anti-establishment Democrat Zohran Mamdani defeated independent Andrew Cuomo and Republican Curtis Lewa in the race to succeed scandal-plagued incumbent Eric Adams as the city's next mayor with more than 50% of the vote. This quote says, "My friends, we have toppled a political dynasty," Mamdani said in his victory speech. "I wish Andrew Cuomo only the best in private life, but let tonight be the final time I utter his name as we turn the page on a politics that abandons the many and answers only to the very few." A once obscure state assemblyman from Queens affiliated with the Democratic Socialists of America, Mamdani, 34, rocketed to prominence after upsetting Cuomo, New York's former governor, and the scion of one of its most famous political families in June's Democratic primary. Mamdani has been a national lightning rod ever since, and the debate over whether his unapologetically progressive agenda can serve as a blueprint for Democrats elsewhere will only intensify now that the New Yorkers have chosen him to lead America's biggest city. On the other side of the country, California Governor Gavin Newsom scored a signature political victory when Prop 50, his ballot measure that will allow the state to redraw its congressional districts in order to elect more Democrats to Congress, passed with overwhelming support. The win could propel Newsom and his form of brash blue state resistance to the center of the Democratic Party's 2028 presidential sweeps take. This is the entire story as captured once again on page 9 of today's edition of the Daily Graphic newspaper. I think the highlight of this story is the fact that this could be a check on the Trump administration. Let me take Philip Langdon's thoughts on this one.
Good morning, Bless. And good morning, Comrade Kwesi. And good morning to the viewers. Well, the outcome of this election that they've just had in America has been quite significant. You know, I can't quite capture his name. The New York mayor. When he bounced on the scene, he nearly came in as an underdog who didn't seem to have much of a chance. But his style. His style being so defiant of the system and openly aggressive seems to have caught on with the electorate. And he received a lot of backlash. Well, I won't say backlash, but he received a lot of attack from his opponents. First, with his ethnic origins and his religion. You know, they used it as a major campaign propaganda against him, which was in direct conflict with the kind of propaganda that the Trump administration seemed to project and propel. That America is for Americans, indigenous Americans, and when I say indigenous, I mean like the white Americans, and completely trying to attack in various forms Hispanics, even the blacks, and other minority groups. So he stood out, coming from that sector of the electorate, as somebody who was fighting against the establishment. And in other contests, of course, the incumbent, who was already plagued by a lot of scandals, doesn't seem to have much of a chance. Cuomo, you know, he had the pedigree, he too seemed to be a formidable character. But he has demonstrated that the people of New York are determined to get what they want, not necessarily in terms of what the political propaganda is. So yes, and in fact, Donald Trump himself had campaigned against him seriously as he was beginning to rise up. They never thought he could win, but from as it were, the last in the race, he was coming up, and Donald Trump thought he had to step in and campaign against him, highlighting on his ethnicity and his religion and how, quote unquote, un-American he was supposed to be, you know. And the MAGA people thought that that type of campaign would work for him. But the New Yorkers have demonstrated that no, they are looking for somebody who will deliver. They are not interested in the person's religion. They are not interested in the person, where the person comes from. And they made that statement very firmly, you know. And the fact that it was a shock to Donald Trump was reflected in the way he responded, because Donald Trump has virtually, excuse me, established the way he responds to things. Things that he likes, he would immediately come out and talk about and boast about and try to claim credit for. But when this result came, his first media encounter, he ignored the issue as if it hadn't even occurred, which was a significant impression that this thing had hit him. Eventually, when he made his statements about it, he tried to give the impression that, oh, this is, you know, he still referred to him as an evil man, but anyway, we'll work with him a bit. Nah, the president doesn't behave like that. You know, so I think the people of New York have spoken well, and I'm happy for them. In California, where they are redrawing the districts and everything to favor the Democrats, the Republican candidate in Texas. And so if the Democrats are doing it, hey, I don't see anything wrong with that. And the campaign they were using to was that, oh, it is to favor the Hispanics. All in that propaganda that these are non-indigenous Americans. They are alien. They are foreigners. You know, and they are winning. So I am very happy with the trend of the votes. That all those who virtually stood up to Trump have won decisively. And it has, like everybody is beginning to look forward to, a strong indication that when it comes to the midterm elections, there will be a serious statement against the kind of governance that Donald Trump is giving America. He's behaving as though he's like a monarch with ultimate, you know, exceptional powers. And I think he was ridiculed by the Koreans, who gave him a crown or something. I thought it was a way of ridiculing him. But I was very happy about it. You know, no real Democrat king, a president who want to be, no. Anyway, so I think that the way the elections have gone has been good for America. That's what I was hoping for. I'm not a voter in America. My vote doesn't count. But I'm happy that it went the way it has gone. And I just hope that come the midterms and subsequently the next election, the people of America would bring themselves back on the proper path, the kind of leadership that America has demonstrated over the years. But Donald Trump has gone too radical, too extreme, and I think the elections is good. Yeah.
Right, thank you. Comrade Pratt.
Well, for me, the first most important question is why are we discussing, mayoral elections in the United States as an African topic? That's the first most important question for me. And the answer is very simple. Indeed, if you look at the elections yesterday and its results and so on, the most important, the most prominent, the one which is making headlines all over the world is the election of the mayor for New York. And there are many reasons why the election of a mayor for New York is making such waves. First of all, in the Western world, New York is regarded as the financial capital of the world. How they came to that conclusion, I don't know. And I'm not even going to contest it. But in the Western architecture, New York becomes so very important for financial transactions, for business deals, and so on. So, attention on New York does make sense from that angle. But you see, the other thing which is making the headlines, which is driving people to talk about New York and its elections and so on, is simply the fact that the elected mayor is an African. In fact, he was born in Uganda, went to school in Uganda, lived in Uganda up till about age 14 or 13 or thereabouts, and then moved to South Africa. And in fact, if you study his biography, his key mentors were all Africans. Okay? So that is significant. Now, more than that, his parents named him after Osadifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana. So his name includes Kwame. And that Kwame is from Osadifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana. And his parents so respected Nkrumah, so imbibed the ideals and ideas of Kwame Nkrumah that they named their child after Nkrumah. So that is very significant, you know. Beyond that is the platform that he himself erected for his campaign. And the platform for his campaign was simply described as democratic socialist. It's not new. It's not the first time that this platform is being erected in US politics. Indeed, Bernie Sanders also called himself, or still calls himself, a democratic socialist, whatever that means. Now, if you look at this platform, Mamdani is advocating for better access to education. He's actually advocating for free transport for New Yorkers. He's talking about the need to make the working class the dominant beneficiaries of production and distribution in New York and so on. So clearly, he believes in equity. He has a certain level of class consciousness and so on. All of these are true about Mamdani. What is also extremely significant is that he is opposed to the Zionist project around the world, not just in Palestine, but around the world. He's anti-Zionist and has actually effectively campaigned against the genocide in Gaza and so on. So he's pro-Palestinian and he doesn't hide that, and that's very significant, you know. Then, interestingly, he also happens to be a Muslim. Okay, he happens to be a Muslim. His cultural background is multiple. I've spoken about his connections with India, with South Africa, with Nkrumah, and so on. but also he has Indian background and so on. And this is a Muslim. And significantly in the campaign, he used this as instruments of campaign. He said, look, I'm a Muslim. I make no apology for being a Muslim. You know, I have an African background. I make no apology for that. Indeed, those are my strengths. Now, New Yorkers voted for this platform. That is significant. The significance of this is that New Yorkers voted for this platform. You understand? Now, for those who sit in little corners in Accra, Kumasi, and Tamale, and dream dreams about making Nkrumah irrelevant in history, I think this should teach them an important lesson. Now, look, Nkrumah is like a rock, a huge rock. If you continuously kick that rock with your bare feet, the only thing which gets hurt in the process is your feet. The rock remains as solid as ever. Nkrumah is not making waves just in Africa, not just in the third world. In the heart of capitalism, Nkrumah has become relevant. The majority of voters in New York will prefer the Nkrumah agenda to the rabid agenda which is posited by Donald Trump and so on. One of the most significant things that I noticed in this election campaign is the fact that Donald Trump, the US president, paid particular attention to the elections in New York and went out of his way to campaign against Kwame. You know, he even went to the extent of saying that if the New Yorkers made a mistake of voting for him, he would withdraw federal support to New York. It didn't come to anything. They just ignored him. You understand? Completely ignored him. Now, there's also something significant. This guy who has been elected as mayor of New York is only 34 years old. He is the youngest mayor to be elected in more than 100 years of US history. 100 years. That's significant. You understand? Then there's something else. He has appointed his transitional team. Oh my goodness. His transitional team is 100% women. I mean, he's breaking all the barriers. You understand? He's setting new norms and so on. Unbelievable. Now, after his election, I listened to the Republican analysts, their criticism and so on. And can you believe what they were holding against him? He said the pitch of his speech, his victory speech, was too high. That he did not talk about uniting capitalists and socialists and so on. This is all they had to say against him. The pitch of his speech was too high. What were they expecting? What is the standard of the pitch and so on? But you see, you have to take all of this into a broader context. You have Donald Trump, an avid supporter of the Zionist project in Palestine and around the world, making a statement that in the past, Israel could depend on the US establishment, Congress, Senate, and so on, 100%. And that now it is not possible. Israeli support in American institutions is waning. This is Donald Trump. That's important. That's an important thing. Why is it waning? Is it because of the genocide which was committed on television? What is it that is leading to waning support for the Zionist project, around the world and so on? And that's part of the ambience, the aesthetics of the elections in New York. But you see, don't forget, over the last 2 years, hundreds of thousands, and I mean hundreds of thousands, 500,000, 600,000, are pouring into the streets of major cities in the United States to protest against the Zionist project, and in particular, the genocide which is being committed in Gaza, the U.S. is changing. The U.S. is not the same. You understand? There's something else which I find extremely interesting. You see, here in Ghana, all kinds of tribal chiefs, and they are tribal chiefs, okay? You would not find a chief in Ghana who is a chief over many tribes or of many tribes. Every chief is a tribal leader. Every chief is a tribal leader. These tribal chiefs have now resorted to calling themselves kings. Oh, this one is a king. King. First of all, that's a real contradiction in terms. Kingdoms do not exist in democratic republic. It's impossible, by definition, for any kingdom to exist in a unitary democratic republic. But they make those claims. They call themselves kings and so on. It is interesting that in the Western world, there's a total revulsion against this king nonsense. You know, to the extent that over the last month or so, there have been massive demonstrations in the United States against Donald Trump because the public thinks that he wants to be king and that the U.S. will not accept a king. First of all, the whole concept of kingdoms and so on is imperialistic. The whole concept is empire building, which led to the establishment of kings and so on. That's number one. Number two, it's most undemocratic. You see, there are many communities in Ghana. In fact, for all communities in Ghana, to be a chief is based on your bloodline. You can be as brilliant as anything. You can have experience in governance, anything. If you don't come from a certain bloodline, it is near impossible, I'm using my words carefully, near impossible to become a chief. Because there are exceptions, and there are small exceptions. War heroes, for example, can become chiefs, even though they do not come from the bloodline. So there are some small exceptions and so on. But it's based on a bloodline inheritance system. So it is most undemocratic. But it gets worse. In some Ghanaian cultures, albinos are prevented from being chiefs.
Left-handed people.
Albinos are excluded from the process of leadership. If you, in some culture, if you have a scar on your skin, any scar on your skin, you cannot participate in leadership. You cannot be a chief. Scar on your skin. Okay? And then, if you are left-handed, you cannot be a chief.
Like me.
You know, and so it's a terribly undemocratic institution. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm a chief. I'm a chief. Okay? And there are many reasons why I'm a chief and so on. So I speak from the institution, not as an outsider. You understand? So it is so undemocratic, so visibly undemocratic, that people are beginning to kick against it. In the United Kingdom, for example, there's an anti-monarchy movement which is growing in strength every year. Anti-monarchy, is growing in strength every year in the United Kingdom. But if you come here, oh my goodness, everybody now is a king. King so and so. And the Ghanaian journalists are promoting this. I mean, it's this backwardness is being promoted.
Let me say good morning to my good friend Fred London and Comrade Kosi Pratt, the good selves and our cherished viewers. The Democrats in America have got a good run in these mayoral elections. And I've listened to my brother Kwesi Pratt on what propelled Mamdani to victory, and I share largely in what he has said. I do not have anything useful to add except to say that politicians ought to be honest to themselves. You are what you are. And when you make that abundantly clear to people, they will appreciate your honesty and associate with you. I think what worked for Mamdani in America, an immigrant of Indian background, born in Uganda, to a father who admired our first president and gave one of his names to his son, whose son has now appeared in the United States of America as an immigrant, and he's using these qualities, the values that he believes in. He makes no apologies of those values. And he's able to catch the imagination of not only the downtrodden in New York, but also the bourgeoisie in America. I mean, New York. New York is the center of capitalism in the American setup. But he sold values in ways that make people believe that he's an honest man. And the rich people, those who have the opportunity to grow and make money, are now looking for honest politicians in New York, in the whole of America. They think that Trump has disappointed them big time, and that the system is not fair, that he's moving against everybody. He promised things that he's not delivering. So then there comes the Mamdani man who upset the established order. There was a political dynasty. A public function, and the law frowns upon anybody who obstructs or interferes or prevents the public officer from the performance of his function. Is a criminal offense and punishable by up to 2 years imprisonment. And so the member of parliament ought not to have done that. And that's why I have said that whether he did or did not, the fact that he's been associated with that demands an apology from him. I mean, to just say that, well, it was a wrong exercise of discretion, or indiscretion, whatever you think. Because, I mean, if you are a member of parliament and there's a national assignment like ending illegal mining activities, which we all agree is destroying our water bodies, polluting our water bodies, destroying our forest cover, exposing the health of women and children to hazardous chemicals being used in the mining sites. You should be helping to fight that. You should be helping the security agencies to fight the illegal mining activity, and especially being a member of parliament from the sitting government. You should be able, because the president has declared an avowed intention to fight it, you should not be seen to be doing anything that is inconsistent with what the president has done. Whether unforeseen consequences of your action or not, you should not be seen. I mean, it's just no. It's politically unwise to be seen to be fighting your president. Okay, and so when I heard it, I was taken aback. And now I've been a politician a member of parliament for 4 terms. I mean, there are issues as a member of parliament that you do not want to be associated with. Okay, and so even when the issue starts brewing, you find a way to buy a plane ticket and fly out of your constituency if you are there, because you do not want to be associated with that. And if a politician doesn't know where to get in and where to get out, then you are in trouble. A sitting member of parliament, even being arraigned before court and granted bail, is enough indictment. It ought not to have come to that. Now, because the NIMUS officers went there, they didn't go there for the purpose. It was tangential to why they went there. They went there to look for a place to set up a permanent site in William to protect the forest over there. Now, while they were going to solve these people, mining, meaning that they had intelligence that there was illegal mining activity going on there. That was why they were there in the first place to set up a. So who are the enablers of the illegal activities? Who are the enablers? Yes, move from the south to all other parts of this country, and those foodstuffs might be contaminated by hard substances being used on the small-scale mining sector. Go to Kolebu and check the increasing number of people suffering from renal diseases. Can be traced directly to the illegal mining activities. Greed is moving us towards madness. And so let's encourage members of parliament to find a way and encourage and support this fight against illegal mining activities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Inusa Hussaini.
Yes. In fact, my good friend, I know that he's always very, this is how it should be. This is how, and this is a situation where, for now, I see that it is the Speaker of Parliament who has spoken, and I must respect him too. He has reminded the members of Parliament that nobody is above the law, and that the proper processes will be carried through. I heard a majority leader, also accepting that yes, their colleague, but I heard some sympathies in his voice. It's like he wishes he could cover him, but unfortunately he can't cover him. Hey, my friend, that one shouldn't come in at all. That one shouldn't come in at all. I think the law must take its course. And I think that at the end of the day, at the moment, like I said, it's being handled at parliamentary level. The Speaker has spoken on it. The different sides are working on it. The security agencies are working. The cases before police investigation, CID, he has been arraigned before court. So the matter is traveling this natural route. But I think at the end of the day, His Excellency the President must speak. He must speak. And if the way, and look, one thing nobody should joke about is that the people of Ghana are look at this fight for the way this clamor for state of emergency. It's because Ghanaians are expecting a certain kind of response to the fight against galamsey. Yesterday I was in Western Region. Yesterday. So you see what is going on. So the president must demonstrate that yes, the fact that somebody is in his party doesn't mean that he will be allowed to get away with anything. And this is where the difference in leadership. Today, people are mentioning Zohran Kwame Mamdani's name because he appeared to be letting people get away with things. Today, it's not Zohran Kwame Mamdani. It is His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. He should remember how Ghanaians will want to talk about him in the future. This is an opportunity for him to demonstrate that leadership that is expected. If the processes establish that the accusations and the rumors and whatever allegations are all true and have been established, notwithstanding what penalties or processes the legal system might whatever, there should be a statement from the president There must be a statement. Like my brother was saying, maybe he himself should have come out to say something more. It would have helped, but he hasn't done that. And the actions show that the man at the time had no, he went about it. This is what he had. Master, it should be dealt with. It should be dealt with decisively. So, for me, I think that it is very sad. And I must also commend the leader of the Dynamos team, the colonel. What's the report we are hearing too about the way he handled the situation? Highly commendable. And he must be encouraged. And this is the way, you see, when a team like that is set up, there will always be even opposition from within. From within, like my brother was saying, during even his time as a minister. While trying to do the right thing from within, you'll be having those who are fighting you for their own selfish interest. This is where the difference must be seen. So, the way His Excellency the President will handle this matter should be able to give inspiration to the Naimos people to work harder and continue, and not to be intimidated by anybody or anybody's position. Because at the end of the day, this is what Ghanaians are looking for. So I think that it is very, very sad that we had this case coming. There may be others also quietly, until this man's case came up. Who would have heard that he had anything to do with anything like that? There may be others. But the way this case will be handled should be a lesson to everybody else. So anybody who may be doing this underground will start revising his notes. Seriously. And this is another way of helping to fight galamsey. Because the galamsey is going on because of a certain level of impunity. While authorities are fighting hard, some people know what the authorities are doing. They're also working behind the scenes to counter. No. There must be a definite fight. Otherwise, it will come back to the same thing. One side accusing the other. Meanwhile, it is the individuals on both sides who are committing the crimes against the Ghanaians, people of Ghana. So it must be dealt with in such a way that there's no doubt in anybody's mind. And I think this has given His Excellency the President a fantastic opportunity to demonstrate what Ghanaians are expecting of him. So I want to commend those who are fighting hard on this matter and condemn those who are making politics out of it. Because this matter is not politics. The deaths and the maiming that Ghanaians are going through has no political colors.
Oh, that's right.
The foodstuffs that may be contaminated or are going to be contaminated do not have any political colors. So this matter must be dealt with very, very decisively, and I just hope that His Excellency, so far Ghanaians have some fair level of confidence. He must strengthen it by demonstrating, dealing hard with it. And it will help in the fight against galamsey. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Philip Landon. Comrade Pratt.
Well, look, the harm that mining is causing to Ghana and elsewhere is so clear. And my two colleagues have spoken eloquently about the harm, so I'm not going to dwell on that. Substantial damage is being done. I refuse to see this problem as a problem of illegal mining. I want to see it as a problem of mining. And I do that on account of the fact that before galamsey, made the headlines and so on, our rivers were being polluted, Our communities were being poisoned with cyanide and so on. And Honorable Yunus Afuseni would know better than me that before this, big multinational corporations had to be investigated and they were fined for pollution. So it is not a case of illegal mining. We just have to do what is sustainable and responsible mining. That's what we ought to do. Now, the tendency, to reduce this to political propaganda is extremely worrying. MPP have said, Yeah, you claim that you declare a state of emergency. You have not declared a state of emergency, and therefore you have failed, and therefore our record is better than yours. NDC elements coming up and saying that, well, we have not been able to achieve everything that we said we wanted to achieve, but our record is better than yours. Is that what the fight against irresponsible mining is being reduced to? I mean, it worries me that this thing which is killing us, you know, which is leading to a situation where children are being born with defective organs, which is leading to the poisoning of our food, you know, which has led to a situation where 50% of cocoa, you know, cocoa production has been lost and so on. This is how we are treating it. Like little school children in a debating club. You know, I find it most repugnant, exceedingly repugnant, clearly unacceptable that we have reduced the struggle for sustainable and responsible mining to this political gimmick. You know, I find it most annoying sometimes. Now, with regards to the specific case of the two members of parliament, I would urge caution, okay? Because it was only 2 days ago that the Inspector General of Police ordered an investigation, ordered an inquiry. I'm not even sure that the inquiry has started, you know. And yet, we are convicting these two MPs. I think it's most unfair to the two MPs. Let the investigations, let the inquiries be completed. On the basis of the inquiries, then we can decide to move forward. You understand? It is significant that Mr. Collins Dauda, whose name has come up and who is being accused and so on, was not even in the country at the time of the incident. You know, the whole claim is that he spoke on telephone to some law enforcement officers. I haven't heard any recording of his voice giving the instructions and so on. May well have been that he did, but I haven't found the evidence yet. You understand? So I think that we should exercise some caution. Now, there's something significant which has happened. You know, IGP orders investigations into the matter. Even before the investigation starts, a member of parliament representing the NDC is arrested and provisionally put before court. I think this is commendable. This shows a certain level of seriousness that no matter who you are, if an allegation is made against you, you will face the full rigors of the law. There will be a proper investigations. You will not be allowed to interfere with the investigations, and you will not be given any privileges. Now, I'm saying this because this MP could be innocent. You understand? He could be innocent. But the process is working. There's a certain level of seriousness, you know, which is attached to this investigation. And perhaps this is an indication that President John Dramani Mahama is keeping his word. That your titles, your position and so on would not become a hindrance in the fight against, you know, irresponsible and unsustainable, you know, mining.
Thank you. Going to go through some messages that our viewers have shared with us. I'll start with the ones they have shared with us on Facebook. So if you haven't sent your message yet, please, you can. Mohammed Misbahuddin says, I think President Mahama should ruthlessly fight this galamsey canker. Thank you. This one here also says the NPP should stop disturbing our ears. It's like they have not learned any lesson. NPP never again. Soon President Mahama will solve galamsey and the NPP will not get anything to talk about. All right, thank you very much. Musa Yusuf says the NPP's press conference confirms that witches exist in the system, so chasing them isn't wrong. Democracy without accountability is meaningless, yet whenever officials are questioned, the NPP cries witch hunting. Under Akufo-Addo and Bawumia, corruption and mismanagement were unprecedented, making the current NPP the most unworthy opposition ever. Regards to Chief of Staff Julius Deborah. Thank you. This one here says the NPP should give us a break. They have no moral right to talk about galamsey. They are making us angry. Greetings to Uncle Hussein, Uncle Pratt, and Uncle London. Right, thank you very much. This one here says the NPP has transitioned from New Patriotic Party to Nanes People's Party. They are full of arrogance, they are dishonest, and they are not to be trusted. Sly from Greater Accra sent this one. JDM, please remember your promise and declare the state of emergency now. Galamsey is destroying everywhere in Ghana. Kudos to Ajia Safia Mohammed, next NPP National Women Organizer, hopeful. All right, thank you. Mano James says Trump wants to use Nigeria to spy on other countries. All right, thank you for your message. This one he also says that any Ghanaian that will think of voting for the NPP to come back to manage the affairs of this beautiful nation is unpatriotic. Our road construction monies are in some few people's pocket. We are pleading with President Mahama to make sure all stolen monies are recovered. All right, thank you very much. Let's try our best to also get into some of the messages from WhatsApp. This one here says that the special prosecutor is derelicting on its constitutional mandates and paying lip service always without surcharging anyone. Without surcharging anyone, he must be replaced immediately and bring on board some other person to occupy the office and prosecute many former appointees who were embroiled in corruption and corruption-related matters. All right, thank you. And next, Evalaf Washi, for your message. This one here says, greetings to your panelists. Nigeria should not make a mistake to allow President Trump to enter Nigeria with his troops, claiming they are coming to help Nigeria do away with terrorism. The message is simple. They want to use Nigeria to spy on other countries, and if this happens, Nigeria will have to answer questions to ECOWAS. James from Kumasi. Thank you, James. This one here says that what is the evidence of threats by the member of parliament to the leader of NIMOS group? All right, thank you very much for your message. Good morning, bless. The reason galamsey looks like a fight government is losing is because in the last 8 years there were not enough publications on it due to lack of free press during Nanado's time as president, and now because of press freedom, everyone is allowed to report from all parts of the country. That is why it's seen as if the government of the day is losing the fight against illegal mining. But in my view, the government is working hard to fight it. All right, thank you very much for your message. This one here says that I can't. Okay, all right, thank you. Why are we not saying anything about the site owner to know who is destroying the land? All right, thank you. Alaji Hamza from Pig Farm says, good morning, my brother. Truth be told, what happened yesterday in Parliament was so shameful, to say the least. Galamsey is an act of terrorism against the state, and for that matter, galamseys must not be treated with kid gloves. We should remember that this issue of galamsey will affect the future of our children, and for that, the youth must rise up to fight against galamsey before it destroys their future. But I'm happy to see that an allegation has been leveled against a member of parliament, and quickly he was invited by the CID for investigation. And as we speak, He is before the court to face the law. This goes to show that the rule of law is actually working under this government. This has never happened, or this never happened under President Nana Addo. The Professor Frimpong Boateng report was thrown into the dustbin because big men in the NPP were involved. It is so shameful. Thank you very much, Alhaji Hamza, for your message. Good morning, Pan-African TV. I've lived in Nigeria long enough, and I know the entire landmark of Nigeria more than I know my own country, Ghana. This projection from Trump is another false alarm as usual, and part of the American foreign policy to front for his allies as usual. America is about to go to front for France and the UK to build military camps in northern Nigeria, for France and UK to facilitate their plans to retake Burkina Faso, Nigeria, Mali, to revamp their failed economies, not for the Christians in Nigeria. Jabo from Tema West. Thank you, Jabo, for your message. Let me read two more, then we go for a short commercial break. This one here says, the manager of Akunta Mining must speak the truth about the vast forest and lands that they have destroyed. He should tell the court the number of trees they have cut down. He should tell the court the gullies and open pits they have abandoned. These pits have become death traps. Okay, thank you very much. This one here says, right, you hit the nail right on the head. Ghana is a republic, and there's no king in Ghana. Finito. All right. It has now been proven that 15 people were killed during 2 general elections under the governance of NPP that claimed they believed in the rule of law. So can we conclude that the NPP is a violent political institution in Ghana, thanks to the current government for its action? Now, some of us would also like the government to investigate and find out who was responsible for the soldiers who raided Parliament under the same NPP government. Asanko from Santa Maria. Thank you. Bless Appenyo Markin has assaulted the police, and the CID has done nothing about it. Why not summon Appenyo? All right, okay, thank you very much. Let's go for a short commercial break. Still to come, we have two more topics. We hope that we have the time to discuss them. NPP slams judiciary over unreasonable bail terms, and then Elwak Stadium in ruins, military declines comments. After this short breather, do stay.
Kwame and his uncle are almost here.
Wait a minute. This one too, your friend Kwame.
Wait, Kwame? As in the same Kwame again?
Yes, Mommy.
The second coming. Into all this tension just to reintroduce that broke boy from Kaswa.
Why would you deceive the family like this again?
Now I understand the whole delay. Trotro from Kaswa. Why wouldn't he be late? Or be late, of course.
Star 712 hash, star 712 hash. He go fit the luckiest, go fit from Georgia be luckiest, from not the block she be luckiest. Me and you go fit be luckiest. No matter why you're luckiest, everybody go fit be that luckiest.
That's Kwame!
You see how they love you now?
Yo, the way I find me payment seminar. Before December, maybe release a motivational album. Patapa, my super.
This promotion is regulated by the NLA.
Hey, what is wrong with my car? Could it possibly be from the fuel I just purchased? That's something.
Bro, what's wrong with your car?
Do you have issues about the quality of fuel you bought? Do you suspect you didn't get the right amount of fuel? Or did you experience bad customer service at the filling station? Don't stress. The National Petroleum Authority is here to assist you. If you experience any of these at the filling station, you have up to 48 hours to report it. Reach out to our call center on 0302 550 380. Or feel free to walk into our office located at Jowolu off the N1 highway or any of our regional offices to make a complaint or inquiry. NPA, where customer care meets excellence.
Right, welcome back. This is still the morning show, Good Morning Africa, the Thursday edition of the show, live here on Pan-African Television. We would get into our next story. The opposition New Patriotic Party has warned the government, especially the judiciary, to refrain from imposing excessive bail conditions on some perceived members of the party accused of committing offenses against the state. Speaking at a press conference in Accra yesterday, General Secretary of the NPP, Justin Kodwo-Afimpong, said such practice contravenes Section 96 of the Criminal and Other Offences Act 1960 and Supreme Court precedents, which affirms that bail should not be punitive or withheld merely as a punishment. According to the General Secretary, state security agencies continue to flout such constitutional provisions with impunity, particularly Article 14 on the grant of bail to persons arrested or detained. He said the Constitution requires that such persons be brought before court within 48 hours or be released either unconditionally or upon reasonable conditions as may be necessary to ensure they appear at a later date for trial. Honorable Yunus Husseini, the issue about bail has been in the news for quite some time now. If you look at the quite humongous amounts of monies that people have to provide for bail over the last 3 weeks to a month, it has raised a lot of questions, even from lawyers. I've heard the likes of Martin Pebu, comment on this bail issue. Liver Bakavoma as well comment on this bail issue, and then
discuss that.
So the issue of reasonability, what determines that?
You see, NPP is torn between the devil and the deep blue sea. So they are shocked at the level of rot that characterizes their government. They are shocked. To be honest with you, yesterday I was talking to somebody who told me that even Nana Akufo-Addo is shocked. Meanwhile, they do not want to be seen, and there are people, the party does not want to be seen to have encouraged and presided over that level of corruption. So it's between the devil and the deep blue sea. And again, all of us are shocked. Masa, Quality Grain, you know how much was involved? It's a case, a trial, a case that sets the precedent for the trial of politically exposed persons in Ghana. You know how much was involved? The amounts that we are hearing now dwarfs that. And Bapre Nko went to jail. I say that MPP, when they complain, it makes me sad. They think that we are forgotten. I was a junior counsel in the Quality Grain case, Masa. You know, there was a 3, they were being tried at court 5. There was a 3, that time the court complex had not been done. And there was some 3 standing in front of the court. MPP used to buzz people. If a player is listening, Kwame Kusiako is listening, Ibrahim Adam, Sipayanki, if they're listening, they'll tell you. Dapa, the chief director of the Ministry of Agric, if they are listening, they'll tell you, they'll whip. They used to buzz people. Look at them. When the trial was still going on, we have not forgotten. No, I was lawyer, I was junior counsel. And you know, when Ghana came out with the OPP, maybe court year was small. Maybe the general secretary of the party was not that grown to know that this was what was happening. But master, even we had not held positions. People had the effrontery to call us thieves in government. But now what is happening? The investigations are oral. The oral thing, was it not driven by popular request? You think the NDC just sat down one day and said, we're going to do oral? In the rounds and interactions with the people, by His Excellency the President, then as flag bearer, was when oral came out. Oral came out from engagement with people. And I can tell you on this platform that some MPP people, encourage the president to go after some people. Now they are even talking about themselves. They think that some of them were snitching. You don't hear it. What's that? They think that some of them were snitching. So, what is bail? Yes. Section 96 of the Criminal and Other Offences Act, yes, says that, well, bail should be granted on certain, bail should not be denied or even, let me put it this way, that all offences are amenable to bail. Okay, and when the law in practice sought to suggest that people standing for murder, treason, and other things should not be admitted to bail, but I think people went to court. And the court said that provision of the Constitution and of the Criminal Procedure Criminal Procedure Act, Act 30, was inconsistent with the Constitution, because the Constitution says that of people who have been charged with an offense must be admitted to be under certain conditions. So yes, but the bail is largely discretionary. It is the court that decides that because of the gravity of the offense, we admit you to bail or we won't admit you to bail. We will allow the police to complete their investigations or we won't allow the police to complete their investigations. Is the police, is the court that says that. And they look at the quantum involved. Why should they admit somebody to bail and that fellow can run away and leave the bail sum to somebody to go and, if they want to extreat the bail. Extreating the bail means if they want to enforce the bail conditions. You have taken, you say you have stolen 100 million, they grant you a bail of 10 million, and you leave the 10 million behind and flee the country. And when they are trying to, then they say, okay, tell me, we want to extreat the bond, you go and pay the 10 million, and you are a free man. So there are definitely conditions. I say that it is the amount of money involved that is dictating the response of the courts. But I agree with Mr. Kusiprat, I read him somewhere. What the judges should do is to expedite the trial. Expedite the trial. That should force the Attorney General to do his work as diligently as possible. And not do it as and when. And that should force the accused person's counsel and the accused persons to also prepare their defense very well, because they know that it will be an expedited trial. But bail as a condition to secure the temporary release of an accused person is a discretionary power exercised by the judges based on certain conditions. Lastly, every lawyer knows that if an accused person is granted bail and the terms are onerous, it doesn't end with the court that has granted the bail. And it is not a public appeal against the conditions of the bail that will reduce. You escalate the application to a higher court, Court of Appeal, Supreme Court. If you believe that that bail condition is being used as a punishment, you don't stop there. You escalate it. What we are doing now is just exposing those people to public ridicule. Look at yesterday what Mustafa Hamid said, my brother. Oh, You are standing trial. You believe that you have done nothing wrong. You are keeping your defenses. And then you don't keep it yourself and go to court to show that what they are doing is absolutely nonsense. And you are leading the campaign for your trial, for a public trial of your case. It's dangerous. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Longden.
Yes. Bless, you see, you know I'm not a lawyer. So when it comes to certain things, I won't argue with the lawyers. Since I'm not a lawyer, I'm nowhere near being a judge. But with these things, I look at the political angle and the political element. Some have clamored that the bail conditions are too extreme. The others were clamoring that it is too small. This is where we find ourselves. So the courts have to balance. Like my brother said, it is within the law that if a bail condition has been stipulated and counsel for the party feel that it is too high or whatever, they can escalate it and then have it reviewed. You see, what we know is that sometimes the council, although they want to review, they think twice because sometimes it has been known that when they review it, it gets worse. So these are all facts. I also remember, and not too long ago, nobody else but the then Minister for National Security thought it wise to advise his government at the time that the way some of the judicial cases were going, he didn't think it reflected well on the government. He agrees, he knows that the judiciary is independent. He knows that the government is not controlling, or it's not supposed to be controlling the judiciary. But purely on the political and intelligence and security level, he was looking at the consequences of such a perception. So these are realities that we have to deal with. For now, the conversation is those who are being hauled before court, who are mostly former political appointees, etc., and they are the ones who are being accused of big cases, alleged to have chopped big money, etc., all kinds of allegations coming up. And even when the bail condition has been set, the perception out there is that even this manner, there's even more beyond it than what is before the court. So this is where we are. So in a situation like this, the tendency for a majority of people to say, well, it might appear fair. It might sound too much, but it may be fair. The situation is not helped by the unfortunate comments, I still call them unfortunate, that Mustafa Hamid made. I don't know all the facts, but it appears as though he thought he was just making some comment to somebody privately. And that it happened to be the wrong person. Who may have been, who was supposed to be a blogger or somebody, and blew it up. He thought he was in his own small corner, boasting or bragging, and now it's headlines. To the extent that the OSP had to react. All these things are realities that fuel the situation. So when some people are being sympathetic, that the kind of bail that is being charged on you, when I say you, I'm not referring to him, but people like that, it's unreasonable, it's unfair, it's too punitive, then they hear a comment like this, it doesn't help. It doesn't help at all. So this is the reality. But then another, as we were discussing galamsey and all that, something that is very dear to all of us, our hearts. Yes, everybody is presumed innocent until, proven guilty, etc. Yes, you may be innocent, but in your innocence, there are certain actions that if you take, do not help your case. Do not help your case. the Honorable Mustafa Hamid may be innocent. But those comments he has made has not helped this case. It's a fact of life. You see? It's a fact of life. And the member of parliament who is now the center of an issue may well be innocent. But his actions did not help him. Those are facts. He did not demonstrate political wisdom and maturity. And he has damaged his party, whether he likes it or not. No matter how innocent he is. These are the facts. And it is also a fact that Ghanaians expect that as the security, the government, or I won't say the government, the police, the investigative agencies have done so well to process him before court, for him to have an opportunity to defend himself and clear his name before the laws of the land. It is also very disappointing that that court gave him a bail of 150,000. It was a slap in the wrist. And it would be strengthening the comment of those who feel others are being treated unfairly. He too should have been given a more serious bail. Yes, he's a member of parliament and all that, accepted and respected. But the gravity of the offense, especially his actions and inactions, that is not the kind of bail that Ghanaians would have expected. So these are things that should guide all of us, you know, and that the political situation now, like we were discussing earlier, about what's happening in America. I mean, the status quo is being broken all over the world. People are thinking and thinking clearly. People are not following old, existed. No. People are thinking for themselves now. You see? So it is very, very important that leaders across are conscious of that. You know, yes, in some cases the bail might appear excessive. But in other cases too, Ghanaians expect higher bail, like in the case of this MP.
Right. Thank you very much. Comrade Pratt.
First of all, this morning I listened to the General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party's statement, the statement he made at the press conference. Mm-hmm. And I was struck by the fact that he didn't come up with any prescription. I mean, I listened to him and there was no indication as to what he thought would be reasonable bail conditions. No such indication. And that for me is interesting. Now, why are bail conditions imposed? It's very important to get into that. You see, bail conditions are imposed in order to guarantee that accused persons would not escape justice. That's the reason why bail conditions are imposed. So you see, if you are accused of stealing 100 cedis, and the bail condition is for 5 cedis, it doesn't serve the purpose. Because you can so easily take 5 cedis out of the 100 cedis, satisfy the bail conditions, and run away. Okay, think about it. Now, somebody who has stolen a goat and somebody who has stolen a car, they would not be subjected to the same bail conditions because the values are different. Okay? Now, where a court is satisfied that the flight risk, the likelihood of somebody escaping does not exist, bail conditions are not even applied. The people are released on the basis of their honor, their word of honor, and so on. No bail conditions applied. So this is how we have to look at what is happening. Okay? And Safuhini, I disagree with you on the MP matter.
I see that. I know that.
Yeah. I disagree with you on the MP matter. You know. The MP, the allegation against him, not a charge, allegation against him, and it's different. Some of these MPP elements have actually been charged. They have been indicted and put before court. In the case of the MP, there's an allegation against him which is being investigated by the police. The levels are totally different. Okay. Again, what is the risk that this MP will run away from Ghana? The risk is very minimal. Unless you know something that I don't know. Okay. The argument is that, oh, if some MPP person who has been accused of stealing 2 billion cedis, a bail condition of 800 million has been imposed on him, then the NDC MP should also suffer a similar situation. It's a bad argument. The circumstances are totally different. Okay? If you had a case where an MPP person is accused of stealing 2 billion, and an NDC person is also accused of stealing 2 billion, and the bail conditions are different, then you can argue the way you are arguing. But the circumstances are totally different. Okay. Now, for me, if bail conditions are excessive, you don't cure them by holding press conferences. It cures nothing. You cure them by reference to the judicial process. So these press conferences are just for propaganda purposes. They have no value. No value at all. Okay? And then at the beginning of the show, I mean, our host starts by saying some lawyers, which lawyers are concerned. The law is clear. The law is clear. If I go and read the Constitution, what the Constitution says about these things, it's very clear. Okay? And indeed, these matters lie in the bosom of the judges. There's some guidance, but the final decision lies in the bosom of the judges. I read the story that you read. It starts by saying that MPP is worried about the government, especially the judiciary. Do you see what is happening there? They are coupling the judiciary with the executive. They are ignoring the fact that there is separation of powers. Now the executive, the judiciary has become a subset of the executive and so on. This is unfair commentary. Completely unfair commentary. And I think that, look, we should move on. If there's anybody who feels that he's been given bail conditions which are excessive and unreasonable, let their lawyers take the appropriate action. And you see, Masa, most of the people who are on trial are very personal friends of mine. You know, personal friends of mine. I mean, Wontumi, before he became to Wontumi, before he became Wontumi, MPP Wontumi, used to visit my office every week. At that time, it wasn't this Wontumi. Every week, he was in my office.
In his previous life.
In his previous life. You understand? So, Wontumi, I know very, very well. I mean, he used to be a friend of mine. And one time, he went on radio and said all kinds of things about me. And I called him. I said, are you doing? He said, oh, uncle, I'm sorry, that is radio talk. you understand? I know him very well. Who don't I know? Osesibe, the National Service Secretariat. I mean, I have worked with him in the movement for MFJ and so on. I worked with him very closely. He used to work in Ashanti, the Ashanti regional wing and so on. He was very active. I know him so very well. So we've been so close before. Mustafa Hamid used to belong to a study group in Tamale and so on. You understand? So for me, when I comment about these cases, it's not about MPP and DC. It is about people that I consider close friends, and also about the national interest. I have to do a balancing, you know, and so on. I think, look, if they are really aggrieved, let their lawyers file appeals against the conditions which has been, you know, served on them. That's the only way. Press conferences by political party scribes and so on does not solve any problem.
Thank you very much, Kwame Pratt, Philip London.
You see, yes, I agree entirely with Kwame's PC. But see, And like I said, when anybody has any problem with the bail, they have every opportunity to go to court and have it reviewed.
But the review may be upward.
That is the point. And so that is the whole point.
The court may decide
that is exactly the point I'm making. Because in as much as the judge may have set a bail condition that may appear high, if that case is reviewed, there's every likelihood that it could even go up. If the lawyers were very sure that it would come down, I can assure you they will all have gone to court to have it reduced. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Because what is the other influence? There's a certain political element. You understand what I'm saying? Here we are in a country where His Excellency the President, John Dramani Mahama, he is having difficulty still explaining to the people of Ghana why he is not doing what do you call it? State of emergency. Because the expectations of the people are high. I agree entirely with my brother that the member of parliament, by virtue of his position, honorable member of parliament, he self-recognized. He can just, that is enough basis. But there is a this is the stage, this is where we are. So notwithstanding the reasoning and all the, judgment, all the thinking that might go into such a decision, it still won't sit well. That's the point I'm making. That is the truth. That is the truth.
Master, you see, there's a general development in this country where persons occupying political offices, when they are accused of having committed a crime, are admitted to serve the recognizance bail.
Yes.
Why? Because their positions are known, their place of residence known.
Yeah.
There's no likelihood of flight risk, and all that. So when you see a court grant a person in that circumstance to bail on a specified amount, that reflects the abhorrence of the conduct of that person by the public.
I agree.
Normally they will be admitted to serve the recognizance bail. And this one was an interference. So an interference into the performance of functions of a public officer is a misdemeanor.
Yeah.
Which is even lower.
Lower.
Much lower than the crime that
So again, to admit somebody of a misdemeanor to one is high.
It's very high.
It's very, very high. 1,000 is very, very high. 150,000. That's very high.
Very high.
But why that? Because that signifies the disapproval of his conduct. Yes.
Right, thank you very much.
So that has been very well explained. I accept it. But you see, no, the difference here is that people must have the same appreciation. That is your job as a government. To let people appreciate that, yes, indeed, these are the same. So it may not appear, because whether you like it or not, this is how it could happen. Yeah, I'm saying.
Right, thank you very much. My time is up. Thank you, Comrade Pratt. Thank you, Mr. Philip Langdon. Thank you, Honorable Yunus Husseini. There's an interesting headline though on Ghana Web right now. It says we are going to do things to Nigeria. Donald Trump doubles down. And there's a part where it's quoted to be saying we are going to do things to Nigeria that Nigeria is not going to be happy about, and we may very well go into that now graced country, guns blazing, to completely wipe out the Islamic terrorists who are committing these horrible atrocities. So
Trump doesn't know what he's talking about.
yeah.
He himself has doubled down. He's realized that he made a terrible mistake. He talked without thinking.
Right. No, it was misadvised.
Right. Thank you so much to our cherished viewers for your time this morning. It's been another very beautiful, very exciting, very insightful, conversation here on Good Morning Africa. I'll see you tomorrow. Until then, have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Surely